guys, so I am back today to do a favorite video of every year, and that's the mid-year book freakout tag. I think I've done this for every year that I was making videos. So obviously I didn't do it the past couple, but every year I was making videos, I'm pretty sure I've done this video. So I thought I would do it again. We're almost at the halfway point. I know it's like a couple more weeks until we're actually technically halfway, but I figured I'd do it now. And I don't know the original creator because we've been going on for so long on booktube, but if anyone knows, definitely let me know. But I will try and put the questions down below if you guys want to answer along. I'd love to know some of your answers. These are some of my favorite videos to watch, so that's why I like making it every year. So as I've been watching some other people's, I've seen that some people do slightly different variations of the question. So I'm assuming it's like a game of telephone, and somewhere along the lines the questions got slightly changed. These were the original ones, I think, that I did the past few times. So I'm gonna go with these, but they may be slightly different. Just wanted to put that out there. So the first question is your favorite book of 2023. And also, sorry if there's a loud bang. My neighbors are very loud, so sorry about that. But favorite book of 2023, which is always the most difficult question to ask. And I am putting it out there that this could totally change by the end of the year. Even not without the new books, but I could change my mind, okay? Just putting it out there. But I did pick three, and I picked three from three different subgenres. I feel like that's fair, right? So for contemporary romance, which is technically paranormal, but I picked Grim and Barrett by Juliet Cross. I loved this book. It was book 6 in the Stay a Spell series. It was the last book. I absolutely adored Clara and Henry, and I don't know, it's makes me all smushy inside. I love that book. The second one I picked for a fantasy favorite, I'll be honest, I could go with two. The one I picked on this list is the War of Lost Hearts series by Carissa Broadbent. Really, the second and third book were both equal to me, but the series in general is just so good. It's such a good fantasy and romance. It's the perfect mix, the perfect blend. There's so much action and fantasy and political intrigue, but the romance is truly beautiful. You have to pick it up. I know her other series is getting a lot of notice right now, but if you haven't read her other one, please go back and read it. Absolutely loved it. I will throw in there that I almost picked Fourth Wing. I just finished Fourth Wing, so I'm kind of on the high. I literally finished it a couple of days ago, so that's why I haven't talked about it yet on my channel when this is going up. But I kind of didn't want to put it as my favorite because I wanted to settle, you know what I mean, before just shouting as my favorite. So you never know. By the time we get to the end of the year, it may make my favorite. But I absolutely loved it. I'm on the hype train. Let's put it that way. Then the last one I picked as favorite was the historical favorite of the year, which was When the Earl Met His Match by Stacey Reid. I just loved this book. I've talked about it, I think, a couple times now. It was so good. I believe this is actually one of her backlist titles. It wasn't one of her super new releases, but I loved it more than her new releases this year, and it just was perfect historical romance for me, so had to go with that one. Number 2 is the best sequel in 2023, and for that one, I'm gonna have to go with Heartless by Elsie Silver. Obviously, that's the second book in the Chestnut Spring series. I read it last month, and that's such a good romance book. I almost feel like that's one of the perfect romance books. I don't even want to say perfect because I'm sure somewhere out there is some kind of a flaw. Every person/book has a flaw, but I will say Heartless is pretty close. I really loved it, and it was such a great sequel to that series. Number 3 is a new release that you want to read but haven't yet, and I got a couple for this. I actually made a video not long ago about all the books I wanted to read this summer, so pretty much you could pick anything off that list, but a few I really want to read: An Island Princess, what's it called? An Island Princess, Start the Scandal by Adriana Herrera. It's been on my list. I really want to get to it this summer, hopefully. I also really want to read Charlie Loving Cliches by Ella Mays. I've loved her books, so that one just sounds adorable. And then the other one is I do really want to read Carissa Broadbent's new series, The Crowns of Nyaxia. I haven't started that yet, and I do really want to read that one desperately, so hopefully soon. 4 is anticipated release for the end of the year or the rest of the year. Again, I've got a couple. One that will probably shock nobody, and that is, of course, I'm desperate for Iron Flame, which is the second book to Fourth Wing. It's coming out in November. I mean, me along with like most everybody, I know there's some very differing opinions on this book though, so, and I'll talk about that more in my wrap up, but for me, I'm very excited for the sequel to that to come out. Another one, I had to keep looking at my list because my memory is awful. But another one is An Earl to Remember by Stacey Reed. That's her new book that's coming out in, I think it's coming out in August, I'm pretty sure. Again, Stacey Reed's one of my favorite historical romance authors, so I really want to pick that up when it comes out. And then another new release that is coming out soon in August as well is Codename Charming by Lucy Parker. I actually have this book. I have an arc of it. I just haven't quite read it yet, so hopefully I'm gonna read that one super soon though. Number 5 is The Biggest Disappointment. And to be honest with you, there haven't been that many that I've been like absolutely hating. I've had a few 3 stars, but most of them weren't that disappointing because I didn't have that high of expectations, if that makes sense. They weren't ones I went in thinking it was gonna be 5-star and it was a 3-star. One I was really disappointed though, mostly with the ending, was Aisha at Last. This book, I'm disappointed because I still gave it 4 stars, but I'm disappointed because I loved like literally 80% of this book. I loved it until it got to the ending. It wrapped up too fast. We didn't get enough romance and like any scenes with our couple like being happy. And I feel like this book does kind of straddle the line between romance and like a lit fic type book, but I just feel like if this had just given me 1 or 2 scenes of a romance, it would have been a 5-star. So that's why I'm disappointed, because I just needed a little bit more and I would have been like thrilled, because I really do think this was a beautifully written book. Love the characters, love so much about it. Just not the ending. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and I'm gonna have to go with this one, Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. I just finished this one yesterday and I don't think I've stopped smiling since I finished this book. I feel like I'm gonna put it as a surprise, not because I thought it would be bad, because it was getting really great reviews, but I hadn't read anything by Sarah Adams. My best friend has read a few and really liked them, but I hadn't. And I also I'm a little picky when it comes to like traditionally published romances and traditionally published, mostly contemporary romances. I just feel like it's been a long time since I found any that really just like grabbed me and made me absolutely love it. Like, I've had some favorites, don't get me wrong, but this one was just so good. Like, I loved everything about this. This is one that may also sneak up to my favorites list. Like, I just finished it, so I again wanted to give it a minute to breathe, but I love this so much. So it was definitely a surprise in how much I loved it. I kind of thought it would just be like a fluffy, like feel-good book that I would just read at the beach or like at the pool or, something like that. But it was one of my favorites. Such a good romance. I loved these characters so much, and I'll definitely talk about it more in my wrap up. Number 7 is New Favorite Authors, and I've got a couple because I've actually, when I was going through my list, my Goodreads list, I've read a lot of new authors to me this year. Like, I actually think, I didn't do the calculations, but I feel like if I had counted, I would bet that like more than half of my like reads this year have been from a new to me author. So one is N.M. Patel. I read her first book that she published, which was Love Shove in New York, a few months ago, and I really, really liked it. It was amazing, especially for a self-published like first book from an author. I thought it was just so beautiful, so well done. I just think she's a great person too. I follow her on Instagram, and I love her a lot as a person and a human, and I loved her book. So she's a new author to me. Her second book's coming out sometime this year, so I'm excited for that. Another new to me author was Lauren Asher. I had never read anything by Lauren Asher until this year. I read Fine Print and Terms and Conditions, and I gave both of those 5 stars. So I loved her writing. Definitely will pick up more from her. And then the last one is Carissa Broadbent. I feel like she's got to make a lot of lists this year. She really made a lot of waves. She's gotten a lot of books out, and I am excited to keep reading them because she has just such a beautiful writing style and really a compelling writing style for me that like keeps you going. Number 8 is Newest Fictional Crush. And there was a few I could put, but I kind of kept coming back to Will Griffin from this book, Practice Makes Perfect. I was trying, by the way, guys, not to put the same like 3 books for all the answers, but some of them just had to be doubled up because they just had to. But Will Griffin's the hero in the book, and I loved him. He's a bodyguard, he's got tattoos, got a lot of baggage, but he's so sweet to Annie. And like, I was legitimately swooning over him throughout the entire book. Like, just, you gotta pick it up. You gotta pick it up. He was just a total fictional crush for me this year, recently at least. Number 9 is new favorite character. And so for this one, I've got a couple again. This one I gotta go with Xaden from Fourth Wing. I really liked him. I have recently seen that there's been some like, I don't know, divide, I guess we could say, of opinion on, some people absolutely love with Xaden and some thought he was just like way over the top. Totally fair. I can see where you're coming from, but for me, he totally worked and I loved him. I just, from like the first page that he was on, like, I loved him, and anytime he wasn't on the page, I wanted him on the page. So I absolutely loved his character. Another new favorite character was Akira from and Patel's Love Shove in New York that I just mentioned. I really loved her. I just thought she was such a good heroine. She was feisty, she was smart, she was driven, but she also knew, like, when she started falling in love, that like, this is it. Like, this is why we're here. It's like she knew when to kind of put her priorities to the side. She also fought so hard for her love and her romance with her hero, and I loved her so much. So she was a new favorite. And then Annie from Practice Makes Perfect again. I think that's why that book really resonated with me the most, is because Annie, I found so many similarities to. Almost to the point where I was like, I feel like if I talk about this a lot, people are gonna know exactly my personality type, because I just feel like Annie was the first character I've read in a long time that had like a lot of similarities to me, and I was just so relating to so many of her, you know, both her good qualities and maybe some of her qualities that she doesn't like and that she needs to work on. I think she has a lot to work on in the book, but I loved her so much. She's definitely one of those characters that's like termed as the good girl, and she finds it really annoying. She finds it really like restricting. So I just loved Annie. I thought she was a really well-written, beautiful character. So she's a fave. 10 is book that made you cry. I'll be honest, I cry in a lot of books, which is odd because I actually am not a big crier in like my regular life. I'm kind of one of those people that cry way more in books and movies and TV shows and stuff like that than in an actual like sad situation. I'm sure there is something to unpack about that situation. But yeah, I've read a lot of books that have made me cry, but recently I sobbed at the end of Fourth Wing. I mean, like, sobbed. It was like 1 a.m. when I finished it, and there were just like, it was like snot and everything. So definitely cried in Fourth Wing. What else did I put? Oh, and then in the last book in the War of Lost Hearts, what's it called? Mother of Death and Dawn, I also sobbed. It's something about a fantasy book that just like sets me over the edge. Also, people tend to die more in fantasy books, so I'm sure that's part of it. But yeah, I also sobbed during that book, and probably many others. Those are the two that came to mind. Number 11, on the contrast of that, is a book that made me happy. And again, I am so sorry for repeating a book, but I just had to go with this one, and that's Practice Makes Perfect by Sarah Adams. Like, I'm just saying, I think I put this when I posted on Instagram, if you need a shot of serotonin or some joy in your life, go pick up this book. Like, it's just so good. And it's very, I will say too, this is not an open door book. It's pretty, I'd say low on the steam, but Sarah Adams manages to really put so much good tension and like romance in it that you don't miss any open door scenes. Plus, she did just give us a bonus scene. That's like a bonus epilogue. That was open door, so don't worry. But it just made me smile. It made me smile and I loved it, so that one made me happy. Number 12, I'll hit really fast, and that's the most beautiful book that you have like obtained this year. I'll be honest, I haven't bought a ton of books. I have bought some this year, but none of them have really stuck out as like a beautiful cover, in the sense of like, it's not like a special edition or anything like that. I really think my favorite cover this year so far might be Practice Makes Perfect. I also do have a copy of Fourth Wing, which I do think is probably the answer, but I don't have it with me. I do have a copy of it. I was lucky enough to find a copy like before the madness kind of set in, but I actually lent it to my best friend to read, so I don't have it with me currently. All right, number 13 is what book do you really need to read this year, like before it's over, I guess. One is I really want to read Final Offer by Lauren Asher and kind of finish that trilogy. I really love the first two, so I really want to read Final Offer soon. I do own it. I just forgot to grab it, but so I already have it. I have no excuses. I just need to read it soon. The one I really do want to read is City of Brass. Again, I do own it. I just completely forgot to go to the other room to grab these, but I don't know. This one is a fantasy book. I believe it's like a fantasy with a romance. It's not romantic fantasies specifically, but I believe it's a trilogy. It's finished, and I don't know. It sounds like it's something right up my alley, right up my street. Like, I think I'd enjoy it. And it's really been on my mind recently, so hopefully I can read it soon. And number 14 is best book to movie adaptation or like book to show adaptation. And I don't think I've read any. Like, I've watched a lot of things that came from books, but I don't think I've read the books. I'm trying to think what else I've read. I haven't done that many this year. I didn't read Daisy Jones, so I really don't think I have an answer for this. I did watch Queen Charlotte, but I haven't read that book. I loved the show though. Loved the show so much, but obviously, like, I know there's a book now, but I have not read that. So yeah, I don't think I have any. If you have any favorites, let me know, because I'm literally like out of shows to watch. So if you have any really favorite shows, actually that would be super helpful. Let me know down below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know, like I said, any of the answers to these questions that you would like to, or what was your favorite book of this year? Do you agree with me or disagree with me? I always like find it so interesting to hear from you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.